Oh man. Well, we got a special episode today. We're over here at my great grandmother's house, and we're gonna do a little interview type ordeal. We're gonna talk to her and see what kind of information we can obtain, and just learn a little bit about the older days. I think it's gonna be a great episode. What do you think, Logan?
Oh yeah, this is the one right
It's
here.
gonna be interesting for
Yeah.
sure. Uh, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your name and everybody, so everybody will know who you are and whatnot.
My name.
So I say, yeah, because we have to we have to act like uh,
Nobody's ever met us before.
yeah, nobody's ever met us before.
Yeah.
My name is Imogene Skillman. I was Andrew and Florence Oden's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My daddy was a Baptist preacher,
Mm-hmm.
and as far back as I can remember, he always was. I don't remember when he wasn't preaching. He started preaching before I was born,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a brother, the first child they had, and my daddy said that the Lord was calling him to preach, and he refused because he couldn't read or write. He didn't. He never did get to go to school. His daddy was a slave driver, I guess you'd say. He had several children, and they lived on a farm, and he had them gathering produce and everything, and he'd carry it to Birmingham and sell it, and then he'd come back and expect them to have him another load ready to carry back.
Mm-hmm.
And so my daddy never did get to go. He went a little bit in the second grade, and after when I was in the first grade, we went. He started preaching, and some of the people in Blount County told him that there was a school where he could go that was for adults, so he would learn to read and write.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at Eldridge, Alabama. We went down there, and I was in the first grade. And I would sit at the table with him, and Mother would help me and him do our numbers, learn to make our numbers, write our ABCs. So I studied along in the first grade with him, or he studied with me. But he did learn to read the Bible really well, but he never learned to read a newspaper or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But as far back as I can remember, he was a preacher, and there was 10 of us children, 5 girls and 5 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And on Saturday night, we had to be really, really quiet while Mom read the Bible to him, and he memorized it. And then he'd get in a stand the next day, and people would think he was reading it out of the Bible, but he had memorized it. But he did learn to read the Bible, and I've got so many good memories. We were poor, but we had all we needed. And I remember my first memories is they was living, going to the table and eating. We had a big long bench, and I was so glad when I got big enough to get out of the high chair and get to sit on that bench with my brothers and sisters. I thought I was really moving up now that I could sit on the bench. And then a few more years later than that, brother that was younger than me, we had this thing that we just giggle and laugh, carry on at the table. And Daddy he wouldn't go along with that. We laughed a little bit, and he had warned us one time. And if we laughed again, we got up and went out. We couldn't sit at the table and laugh and giggle and carry on. But I don't remember ever going to bed hungry, even though there was 10 of us. I don't know how he was a farmer and preacher. And another thing, he was a barber. When him and Mother married, they moved to Eldridge, Alabama, and he went to barber school. Learned to he had a barber shop. And he had a barber shop in Indiana a long time, and he had one then at home. He had a little barber shop at home. But he cut hair even after he got where his eyesight was so bad, he would just feel around and cut people's hair. But there was most of the men in the valley would come on and let him cut their hair, even though he couldn't half see.
Yeah.
But he could just feel around. But I had a wonderful childhood.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I was going to say, what year was it you was born, and what were you the youngest or the oldest of the group? Or?
I was born in December the 21st, 1930. I was the third of the 10. What I was about to say about my oldest, about their first son, they were at church, always going to church, and Mother had to take my sister that's just older than me to the outside toilet. There wasn't no bathrooms. And so the little brother, their little boy, was going along with her. And she told him there was a big tombstone and it had a bird nest in it. And he saw a bird fly out of it. And we started trying to climb up on it. She told him, get down, said, let me carry sister down here to the toilet and I'll hold you up there and let you see. Well, when she went on to the toilet, he climbed up there and he pulled the tombstone over on him and it crushed him. So Daddy said that was what caused him to start preaching. He thought he could not because he didn't have any education. But he said God told him that if he didn't preach, there'd be something else, another tragedy come. And he said he could just see Mother. He thought to take her from him. So he started preaching. I don't know. I think he said 29, and I was born in 30. But he was always, far back as I remember, he was, a preacher. And he wasn't an educated preacher, but he did try to, he did learn to read the Bible, but he depended on God for his message. He didn't have no messages wrote out, or he didn't get no books to study or nothing like that. He just read his scripture and depended on God to give it to him. He was a great influence in my life. And he was pastor in Tate's Gap Church when I got saved. And I was 9 years old. And I was saved at Tate's Gap Church during their revival there. It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Remember it like it was yesterday, don't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can remember going to the altar just as plain, and I knelt down on a little ways from the piano. Back then it wasn't nothing to see 10 and 12 people in the altar at one time. You don't see that now, but I know that there was several there. My sister, my cousin, there was several in the altar. And I went and just squeezed in beside of them. Yeah, that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
That's crazy. That's
like
amazing.
Yeah.
You can't make that kind of stuff up. How old was your dad again? Your father?
How old what?
How old did he or how old was he when he passed away?
105 and a half.
Wow. 105 and a half.
I remember him too when I was
And
young. I remember him though, going to see him.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
He preached several messages after he got to be 100.
Mm-hmm.
God, did he know, I guess, I don't know when it was really cars exactly got popular in Blount County, Alabama, but I wonder if he knew what it was like before, cars and stuff like that, or if he grew up horse and buggy and...
He had one of the first cars in the valley because you know where Straight Mountain Church is, way out on the straight. That was the first church he pastored, and he did not have anywhere going. And he walked. He'd start out walking, and sometimes somebody would pick him up and carry him. But he did walk. I heard him say he had walked from his house, and he lived right up the road from where I'm at, where we're at now. And he would walk all the way to Straight Mountain Church and preach. And sometimes somebody would bring him home. But he was one of the first ones in the valley to get a car. I don't remember when he didn't have a car.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
But you said from about right here to Straight Mountain? So that'd have been...
About a mile, is it 2 miles, I reckon, from here to where?
Yeah, it's probably about 2 miles up the road is where he actually lived at.
Oh,
So
really?
he walked past here to get to it.
And if it's...
He said sometimes somebody would pick him up, and carry him.
Mm-hmm.
But he had walked it. I heard him say he had walked over there and preached, but somebody brought him home.
I mean, that's got to be a good, 15 miles, depending on exactly where it was, and, especially if he's going by the road. I don't know if he necessarily went by the way the crow flies, but,
Right.
that's something else.
He was one of the, well, I don't put my mother down below him at all, because she read the Bible to him and he memorized it. We would have to be quiet on Saturday night.
Yeah.
He'd make us go in the kitchen and we could talk, whisper around. And my brother wanted to hear the Grand Ole Opry so bad. Buddy, the oldest boy, and he would turn it on just there, and he'd put his ear right up against it to hear it, because Daddy wouldn't let him have it loud enough to hear it. But we all know that Mom had to read the Bible to Daddy, and he'd memorize it.
Yeah.
And he had a wonderful memory. Like I say, he lived to be 105 and a half. He'd put that half on it when somebody had asked him how old he was.
Yeah, he'd make sure.
He'd want to say 100 and a half, or
Yeah,
105.
right.
But he was in a hospital bed. I'll say it wasn't more than 3 days before he died. And he said, Sister, get the Bible and see if I still can remember the 13th chapter of Psalms, and the love chapter, love is patient, love is kind. He said every word of that, never missed a word. And it's a pretty long chapter, but he said God just really blessed me with a good memory, that he could remember stuff. And he had to be a good manager to raise 10 kids on a. Well, he was a barber.
Mm-hmm.
He drove the school bus. He done all kinds of things to make money, plus farmed. And then he'd get out, and in the summertime he would have from 8 to 10 revivals. And he'd get the farming going, and then he would go to revivals and all, and we'd finish it up with him, because he would work on the weekends. He'd come home on Saturday, and back then he didn't. Like I say, for a long time he didn't have a car, and I can remember Mother packing his suitcase, and he'd stay gone a week. Somebody would come get him and bring him back. He'd go have a revival for a week. And I can remember he come home on Saturday with a Friday night with a suitcase full of dirty clothes. And they didn't wear suits much then. They wore wash pants. Had to be washed and starched and ironed. And Mama do them up on Saturday and pack them back up. He'd go to another church the next. And I can remember, like if he was going to go to a revival and be gone all week, he would make all of us. He didn't have to make us. He'd just tell us he's going to have prayer. We all went to the living room, and he would pray and ask God to take care of his family while he was gone. And I can remember him saying, "Dear Lord, just let the angels encamp around about the house and take care of my family." I thought there's angels really around that house.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to bed at night and I think, well, there are angels out here. Daddy prayed for the angels to take care of us. I really thought there's angels out there. And I guess it was.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
There was.
But my mother was a wonderful mother, wonderful person. Daddy would have never been the preacher he was if she hadn't been so devoted to him.
Mm-hmm.
Most preachers now, their wives goes with them. You know. Well, there was so many of us kids. Some of us, our shoes was tore up, or we didn't have a coat that was fit to wear or something. So she'd take us, and we went to Harmony. Daddy got her an old car she could drive, and we'd go to Harmony. We didn't go all around after him. And she was a wonderful cook, she could take a flour sack, a feed sack or anything, and make us girls a beautiful dress. You know, she didn't have to have a pattern or anything. She could just cut it out and sew it up. She could take an old pair of pants and rip it up, make the boys something out of it. She was so talented. And like I say, Daddy would have never been the preacher he was if it hadn't been for her pushing him. And she was willing to stay at home and take care of things and let him go. And I know y'all may not have heard it, but there's an old song that says, "Ready to go," or "I'm ready to stay." And I heard my mother say, it's a lot harder to stay than it is to go. You know, she would have liked to have went with him, but she stayed there and kept things going and took care of us. And there's one woman told her one time, said, now we don't mind cooking for the preacher, but we don't want a bunch of kids coming in to eat. So that stopped her. She never did go much with him, but she wouldn't go with him to revivals or anything. But after all of us was gone, but then everybody got married and left, then she went with him. But she didn't go a lot when we was all at home.
Well, that's pretty rude of somebody to say, don't you think?
Yeah, somebody told her that. Sure did.
Was it in that time, though? Of course, I don't know what time it was happening. I think they said the Great Depression was 1929. It was 30s and...
Yeah, I was born during the Depression.
I was fixing to say, tell me a little bit about how that was and stuff, because I wonder if may have been part of why times are tight and everybody's kind of holding, you know, what was that like?
My grandparents lived up on the hill, just a little ways from our house, and I heard her say that her mother would buy a little carton of lard and they'd half it. You know, they couldn't afford to buy one each. They'd buy one and half it, and they'd make it go as far as they could, or a bag of flour and have to half it. Yeah. I remember when the peddlers come through. I guess you remember, the little peddlers that used to come up through the valley, and they'd have all kinds of stuff on it. And Mama always had chickens, and she'd save what eggs that we didn't need to eat. She would trade them in for some kind of, you know, whatever they had on that peddling truck. She could get flour and lard, or I know we was always so glad to see that peddler come, and most of the time she'd get us a stick of candy or something. We usually got something.
I don't remember a peddler truck. I ain't never.
Did they have a milk truck, like a milk truck or anything like that then, or was it just too far out in the country here?
It was just an enclosed, like, box truck, and it had shelves and had all kinds of stuff in it, just like a store. You could get flour, meal. You could get all kinds of canned stuff, and I don't know, I guess they had meat and stuff like that, but Daddy raised all the meat. You know, we had always had hogs, and he never did raise too many, never did kill too many beef. He didn't, but he always had hogs and had chickens, cows. We had 2 cows always. And by the time I was 9 years old, I was milking one of them cows every day, every morning, every night.
Mm-hmm. You miss doing that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd get up and go to the barn with Daddy, and I'd milk one cow.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to get back to the house and get ready to go to school. And hard to get that scent off them hands.
Yeah, everybody knew what you was up to.
After I got in high school, I still done that. You know, it would just wear me to death about my hands. I
Just
tried to
worry.
put lotion and everything on it, try to get that old cow scent off of it.
Oh, man. Shoot, that's crazy.
Yeah, I learned to milk early.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister just older than me. Bless her heart, she's gone. She died with cancer. But I hate to say it about her being gone, but she was lazy. She did not want to do nothing. And she would complain and say she was sick. And I didn't think she was sick. I don't know. Maybe she was sicker than I thought she was.
Oh, man, Grady.
We're getting the truth here now. We ain't getting.
Yeah, yeah.
We'd go to the field. We had to go to the field, and
She's not around. She can't even defend herself.
well, now I wouldn't lie on her, something about that.
That's
But
right.
she would.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
She was always sick. Sick.
Oh,
She was sickly more than I was. I went on with them. And my brother had a brother that was right younger than me. Then the next, there's 3 boys that was in the field. And Daddy tell me to watch after them, make them work. He'd say, now you watch their row. We, had to hoe. We had to dig that grass out. And my brother Buddy, the one that he ended up singing in a quartet, he always wanted to sing. He's one I said he'd listen to the radio with his ear right up against it. We'd get out there in the field and Daddy'd say, you watch his row now. Well, he'd make him hoe the row next to me. Well, he left everything and I had to hoe my row and his both. And he would watch every airplane that went across, and he would go out through there singing. He could laugh like Oswald, on the Grand Ole Opry. Y'all probably don't remember him, but he could laugh like him, and he would sing and laugh, and I'd say, Buddy, you're leaving grass. Well, Daddy told you to get it.
They just let you all the work, didn't they?
He ended up singing in a quartet for years and years, and I told one of the men in the quartet one day, I said, I hoed his row and done his work so he sung. I said he'd go out through there singing, and I was hoeing his row.
Oh, my gosh.
We had a lot of fun, but we had to work.
It sounds like only real resting day was getting to go inside and listening to the radio and stuff. I reckon, TVs and stuff like that didn't really, wasn't a thing maybe till 50s, 60s, I don't know, you remember when y'all got your first television set?
Yeah. I remember when we got electricity. That was the greatest thing.
Really?
We got electricity. Mr. Graham was a member of Beth Sadie Church, and Daddy was pastoring there then. And I'm not sure, but I kind of think that the church paid for the wiring and everything, and he come and wired our house for electricity. And when that first light bulb, that first night we had light, we was thrilled to death. And I remember we got the first telephone. It was one, party line.
party line.
Yeah, you had two.
Okay, yeah.
Our ring was 2 rings, and then 2 rings and a half, I think it was. But anyway, there was a lot of people, the ones that's on the line. When the phone rang, if it was not their ring, they'd still listen in to see what was going on, you know.
Yeah. I'm sure y'all did.
Everybody knew what was going on, didn't they?
It'd be too tempting not to. I mean,
Yeah, that was a rare thing for the telephone to ring.
yeah, everybody wanted to listen in on it. Man, I'm
Did you
glad,
hear them breathing on the line there and say, "Get off that line"?
I'm glad they did away with that. Daggone. Wasn't no secrets getting told on this group.
Well, we still had party line when Renee was born.
Oh, okay.
Your daddy was trying to call. He was calling me and going to tell me the symptoms that Gail had. Well, no, did I think they need to go into the hospital? And somebody was listening in. They kept holding the receiver. And he said, "Will you hang up?" I mean, he just blessed them out. Yeah, the party line was fun. Sometimes it got ugly. I know there's some women from Harmony. They got on the line. They was talking about another, and Dad was listening. It got pretty bad.
Oh man.
I wonder if from that time too, I'm trying to think about when it was World War II started and everything. If you happen to knew anybody like if you went to high school with, or you know,
Or even the draft or something.
Or-
Didn't.
well, the draft
Was it?
I think happened for Vietnam War and stuff too. But
Yeah.
I didn't know if you happen to knew anybody went on to World War II and stuff like that then, or
Oh, my brother was in World War II.
really.
The one that I was talking about singing. The
Okay.
one next to me, Buddy,
Is he the
He's
one that gave you
sent me
that,
the watch, the clock.
the German clock?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he got that from Germany while he was there.
Mm-hmm.
That's something else.
And it still works. It's just been.
It quit. It got where it wouldn't coo. It wouldn't make a noise. And there's a man I got him to come work on my big clock. It got where it wouldn't strike, and so I got him to come back here and work on it. And he said, "Well, I can fix that little clock for you." And I said, "You can?" He said, "Yeah." And he took it down off the wall, worked on it a little bit, and it's been working ever since.
My goodness.
My son-in-law, you turn the hands, you know. Well, the time wasn't right, and it needed to be set. But he got a hold of it and went around it too fast, and the little bird was trying to holler, and I said, "Give him time to say his, give the bird time to holler." So it's not exactly like it was since he done that.
But other than that, it had been going since what,
Mhm.
1945, 48? It had been.
Well, I married in 48, and it was probably might have been 50.
About 1950.
Tell me some. How old was you when you got married?
I like from August to December being 18. When Bill gave me my ring, oh yes, I was in the 10th grade in school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going to finish school. You're going to finish school. Yeah. No, that didn't last long. He went, "No, why don't you come on, go ahead and let's get married and then you can go to school." Well, we got married and I didn't go back to school.
He knew what he was doing, didn't he?
Mhm.
But I went ahead. I went ahead and got the GED.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're under the roof of an educated woman
That's
right
right.
here.
That's right.
She's well educated.
I got the GED, and me and my sister, she done the same thing. She married Nicky Standridge, and he was going to go in service, and she could go ahead and finish school. Well, he went in service all right, but he didn't like it, and he didn't stay long. He just got out. And so then she never did get hers, so me and her studied together and went gas and got our GED.
Tell me, where did you and where did y'all meet at for your first time laying eyes on them? Where did y'all meet?
I
at?
don't remember, but he says he remembered seeing me get on the school bus when I was in the first grade.
Mm-hmm. Did he?
He said, I remember thinking of how pretty I was then. But him and his parents went to Harmony Church. So I don't remember really the first time that I seen him. I don't remember. But I do remember whenever I got interested in him.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I just thought he was so nice looking.
Just so
He
nice
was
looking.
so nice looking.
Just so nice looking.
And he was,
There you
and he smiled at me, and you know that. I thought, well,
go. Smiles wasn't done
I
it,
smiled
wasn't it?
back, I'm sure.
Smiles wasn't done it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Yeah, that's just all you can handle. You just had to go talk to him, didn't you?
Yeah.
Daggum.
See, what I wonder is where everybody hung out back then in high school and stuff like that. Did everybody go, was Miller Drug down here in Aniana, or, where'd everybody go? It was nice because back then I'd hear stories about having you drive in movie theaters and stuff like that. Of course, now they're few and far between now, but.
Well, my daddy wouldn't let me go to a movie.
Really?
No,
Not at all.
I never went to a movie, but the only place that I could go with him was to church.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever went with him, we went to a singing, and my brother and his brother had to go with us. He had a brother that was just younger than him, and the one I was talking about that I had to always row for him to sing, they were about the same age, so they had to go with us. First time we went over here to Union Hill to a singing, and Buddy and Jack had to go with us. But then my younger sister, same age as my daughter, that's a very unusual thing. Me and my mother was pregnant at the same time. My baby was born in June and hers was born in October or September. Now that's something that
Yeah.
and
Huh. That's
we was
roll tide.
yeah that's an unusual thing, you don't hear
That don't
that.
happen much.
But
I didn't even know that.
my mama kept having babies and having babies till, like I say, she had 11. There's 10 of us, raised 10.
I don't know how she kept up with that many of them. You said she cooked and stuff at home and just kept y'all all in line, I guess, didn't she?
Yeah, and about the time that she'd get one to walking and doing, kind of taking care of itself, she got pregnant again.
I'll tell you what it was. It's all that time he'd leave for a week and then he'd come back and they'd be missing each other, and as that time apart. That's what it was.
She said this one time. She said, he goes to church, and them women sits on the front seat with their dresses up high, and then here he comes home and jumps on me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and he didn't believe in birth control. He wouldn't do. No, so that wasn't right. My brother that was just younger than me, the one I was talking to, sent me that clock. He tried his best to get him to use some kind of birth control. No, don't do that.
Tell me about how he used to think bingo and stuff was gambling.
Oh yeah.
They couldn't play cards in
Really?
the house of any kind.
We
play
couldn't
no
play
games?
cards. No, we didn't have no cards. We didn't have no bingo. We didn't have nothing.
Mm.
We had books,
Books.
but we didn't get very few magazines. I know we had you got the Progressive Farmer, you know. We didn't have. Mm-mm.
When in your lifetime did you realize, you know, that stuff really ain't that bad, you know? Because you know you like playing bingo and cards and stuff. So I mean, like, when did you figure out that really wasn't that bad to do?
Well, I figured it out before I left home, but I couldn't
Oh, you couldn't
couldn't
tell.
do nothing about it.
Mhm.
But I didn't see no anything wrong with
Mhm.
playing cards.
Yeah.
But Daddy, he felt like that was gambling. No,
Yeah.
no, we couldn't. There were no cards in the house. We couldn't do nothing like that.
Daggone.
I respected his beliefs. I mean, I never did argue with him. I know better. I would have got whooped in a minute, I guess, if I went to arguing with him. I never did try to argue with him about anything. But
I wonder, is there anything in general, looking out over time, that you wish you could go back and tell yourself when you was younger or little, or back when you was either teenager or in your 20s, or, you know, what would you go back and tell yourself then? Would you change anything, like any regrets, or?
well, I just wish that I'd had a little more privileges when I was young. You know, I could win places. That's what I started to tell you a while ago. My sister, that's the same age of Peggy, when she got old enough to date, Daddy let her go to the movies. I never did get that out of my system. It's still there. But he let her go to the movies, do whatever. But he wouldn't let me or my sister that was older than me. We were never allowed to go to a movie.
Did you ever end up going to a movie?
Mm-mm.
You ain't ever been to see a movie at all?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I was
yeah,
I was
fixing to
about
yeah.
to say we're about
Sure.
to
I
take.
thought you meant that I'd
surely-
slip around and go. No.
No. I was just wondering if you remember when you first got to see a movie and stuff like that.
I bet she was really excited when
Yeah.
you get to see
You
the
know.
first
Yeah.
one. Something you was waiting for your whole life. You felt like.
Yeah,
You
do
know?
you remember what it was you went and seen the movie theaters or went to the?
I don't remember what.
Oh.
But I remember being very excited when I got to go. But I didn't get to go till after I was married.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about whenever you did get married. What all you had to go through.
Well,
I ain't heard. I heard you. I've heard you talk about it, but you know, y'all had to go off to Georgia or something. I guess was it?
well, back when I got married, you had to get a blood test, and so we went and got a blood test, and it came back. Supposed to come back on a Saturday, and we was gonna get married that evening. And back then, most everybody just went to the preacher's house, and they would marry him. So we already had it planned. We was going over to his uncle's house and get married, and they was cooking gonna have a big supper that night. Had us a cake baked and all that. Well, we went that Saturday morning to get our license. Going to get our license. Had to go get the blood test. Well, Bill's got broke.
What?
His blood test paper. I mean, his little thing of blood got broke
Oh.
in the shipping and all.
Oh. Okay.
So they said, you know, we'd have to just take another one. We're going to have to wait another week to get that back. Oh, we thought we couldn't do that. No, we weren't going to wait a week.
Just one
Can't
week.
wait that long.
Can't
Yeah.
wait one more
Everything
week.
was done planned. We was going to, you know, go have a big. So Daddy had a barber shop in Aniana, he was down there cutting hair, and it was Saturday morning. We couldn't get it. So I was brave enough. I called him. I said, Daddy, Bill's blood test got broke. I said, can we go to, will you, his brother-in-law, Tally Butts, and his sister, they said they'd take us to Rising Fund, Georgia to get married. I said, well, I'll have to get permission to do that. So I called Daddy and I told him, I said, we want to go to Rising Fund, Georgia and get married. No. And I kept begging him. I said, Daddy, please. I said, they done got us a cake baked. We was going to have a big supper tonight. I said, please let us go. May and Tally said they'd take us. Well, he hesitated a little bit. He said, are you sure May's going? I said, yes, she said she would. Well, if she's going, you can go. But if it's this, you and Bill and Tally know you can't go. I said, well, May said she'd go. That was Tally's wife. I said, she said she'd go. He said, well, I guess you can go. So it was middle of the day, and we took off Rising Fund, Georgia, and got married. Got up there, and there was a Mr. Whited, James Whited, I think it was, had a sign out front, get married in 5 minutes for $5.
For $5.
So we got married in Rising Fund, Georgia in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Some people
Coming
go to
back.
Vegas. Around here, we go to Georgia.
We go to Rising Fund, Georgia.
Rising Fund, Georgia.
And he carried us up there in a no log truck. That's all he had to drive.
He didn't look like Elvis, did he?
Huh?
Listen, the guy that married you didn't look like Elvis, did he?
You know, and going up there, I sat in the seat. And coming back, I sat in Bill's lap all the way back. So it was so crouched in there. But anyway,
And May was with you, right?
But
Was May with you?
yeah,
May and Taylor.
I didn't lie about
So
it. She
y'all
did go.
Y'all
Yeah.
all crammed in there, huh?
That girl, that's funny.
It was Bill's sister and her husband. Yeah. Yeah, we.
Where'd y'all end up for y'all's honeymoon?
What?
Where'd y'all go for y'all's honeymoon?
Huh? You want me to tell you where we went?
Yeah.
We went to the cotton patch and picked cotton.
Really?
He had lived over there in the other valley with his uncle, and he had made a crop over there. He had a cotton patch, cotton field, I don't know how many acres. And he had a renter's house over there. So Bill rented that house, and he did. So we went, our honeymoon was in the cotton patch, picking cotton. And the first bail that he got out, I believe he must have got it back before we got married, because he bought a bedroom, he had a bedroom suit, and he went and bought a living room suit and a new wood stove. I mean, it was a really pretty thing. And he fixed that house up, and we lived in that house. We'd go pick cotton. The peddler would come by there, and he would meet the peddler and get pork and beans and crackers for dinner. I got so tired of the crackers and pork and beans. I told him, I said, I'm not gonna I still don't want no pork and beans.
Sick of it to this day.
But I don't know, we picked, I don't know how many bales of cotton he made that year. But he done good on it. And then we moved in the house with his mother and daddy for about 2 months, and he built that little Cracker Barrel house out there. It sat in front of this one. It was just right on the edge of the road. Him and his daddy built it, and we lived in it till we built this one. We built this one the year that Peggy finished school. The year that Rita started school.
Yeah.
Oh, when we moved up here, we were so happy. We were so thrilled to move up here. I was had running water and everything. Or we had running water down there, but we like to froze to death up here because all we had was that fireplace for heat then, and this wood. But it didn't take long till we realized we needed something else. He had a furnace put in there, and wasn't happy with that. He finally had a heat pump put in.
So you finally remember when you got in y'all's first toilet and everything on the inside and plumbing and all that?
No, we didn't have no toilet inside in the old house.
In that old house.
But you remember.
What was it like when you first got your first inside toilet? You know, when was that? And
right here.
It was
this
house.
This house
Really?
right here.
Yeah.
That'd been about when? The 60s, 70s?
67. I think was the
67.
year. Mm-hmm.
Was it weird using the bathroom in your own house?
Inside your own
was
house?
that weird?
Yeah.
That was 30 years of going outside to use the bathroom, you know. And
Well, you know what? Everybody had a slop jar, had a pot. You used it during the night and you emptied it next morning.
oh, okay. Nobody talks about that. I didn't know
Yeah, I
that.
didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
And you had
Oh,
your
yeah.
Sears
Oh,
Roebuck out there for
slop jar, she said.
wipers.
Everybody had calls them a Susie pot.
A Susie pot.
Susie pot.
Which one of them
And-
Susie pots?
Yeah.
And use it and empty it every morning. But it's so funny when I was about to have Tommy, was already having pains and all. We was living in the little house, so Bill's mother was down here with us, and she said we had a Susie pot, but we didn't have no lid. Don't know what happened to have a lid. We didn't have a lid to go on it. She got out there in the yard and she said, calling Jack, Bill's brother. Hey, Jack, bring the Susie pot lid down here. Bring what? Susie pot lid down here. And Bill told her, said, I'll go get it. Don't holler and tell everybody in the whole community. He was just yelling at it. It was so funny.
Oh, man.
Oh, we had it rough when we first got married.
Yeah, we all had to figure stuff out, you know. Yeah, you had to figure it out and everything. Have you did you ever go to the doctor to have your kids, or did you have them here?
Yeah, how many kids did you end up having?
I had Peggy and Tommy at home, but I had
At
Rita
home.
in the hospital because you couldn't get a doctor to come out when she was born.
Yeah.
She was born at hospital. Dr. Whitmore was my doctor, but Dr. Samuels from Altoona was my doctor for the other two. And
they would just come out to here.
Yeah, he'd come out to your house. And
That's crazy, man.
you didn't go see him but maybe one time and tell him, you know, he'd tell you about what time your baby would be born, according to, you know, how many periods you'd missed and all. But you didn't go every month and be checked and all that stuff. But, Dr. Samuelson, come on. He was a big old fat feller, and it was so hot when the day that Tommy was born, 13th day of July, and we didn't, this is how poor we was. We didn't even have a front door. Bill had tacked screen wire over it. We went in and out the back. We had a door, but but we didn't have a screen door. That's what I'm trying to say. We had a wood door fastened at night, but
Yeah, I'll say I want to see.
Well, yeah, we might want to tell because I just got to like keep on rolling.
Yeah, okay, I got you. we're doing a bit of a check right now to see if, because Owen's phone just died, so he's trying to figure that out and see and everything. We kept the video on his mainly and stuff like that. Mine's a little bit older of a phone, but I couldn't imagine even when you get your first telephone and stuff like that. You know, I bet everybody was wanting to wear that out. You know, when you first get it.
I remember we got our first phone when we moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
We had one set on the table then. I got one now, but this was the kind that you picked up receiver.
Got a wire.
Yeah, and we put it in our living room then. You know, we had that on the wall. And that night I was going to call one of my friends and tell her that I had a telephone now. And I picked up to use that phone, and there's somebody already on it. People, it was party line, they was talking. I never got to use it.
I was asking her about her phones and stuff like that.
Oh.
When we first got them and everything.
When was the first time that you ever seen or got your own carry-around phone? You know, like a flip phone or something. When's the first time that you got a carry-around phone?
No, it hadn't been many years.
That had been many years ago?
No.
What about your first car?
Oh, yeah. What was your first car?
I never had a car. Of my own,
Mm-hmm.
until Bill died and left me that out there.
Oh, okay. That was his, and then he left it. Well,
I was fixing to say, what was the first family car though that y'all got when y'all got married and everything? You know.
Oh, he had a truck when we got married, but it was nothing. It wasn't no new truck by no means, but.
What do you remember? What kind it was? Was it a Ford or?
Is that 1930 something, 40 something?
No, I'll go back. I don't think he had that when we got married. I think he got that after we picked the cotton over there, and he got him a truck.
He must have got a lot of money off that cotton pick. That
He did.
Mm-hmm. He bought all new bedroom suit and
Bedroom suit.
living room suit, and a new truck, and.
No, he already had a bedroom suit. He bought a living room suit. And a stove and table and chairs and everything in the kitchen. And then I think he got a truck then. I don't remember when.
Yeah, he must have got a lot of money off that one cotton pick he did.
Oh, he made a lot of cotton.
Yeah. Did he do it again after that? Did he do it like after that, years to come, you know, or was that just a one-time deal?
That's a one-time deal on the cotton.
Okay.
We moved over here then in the house, lived in the house with his mom and daddy about 2 months. Mm-hmm. And they built that him and his daddy built a little house down there right in front of this one. And we lived in it then until 67 when we built this one. And I give my brother-in-law, of course, he's dead and gone, Lewis. If it hadn't been for him, Bill probably wouldn't have had a brick house built. He was just going to he was going to put shingles on it. And Lewis told him, said, Bill, build you a nice house. Said, it won't cost you a whole lot more to get brick. And you won't have to worry about painting and all that every year. So he had decided he'd get brick, have it bricked. And I may have already told you, but Mr. Vines lived up the road up there. He wanted to be top dog and everything, I reckon you'd say.
Yeah.
Well, he come down by here, and there was brick piled out there.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped and he said, hey, Bill, you going to brick this house? You going to have a brick house built? He said, yeah. I think I will. Said, I think I'm just gonna have it bricked. It wasn't 3 weeks till he bricked his house, had his house bricked. But the painter boys bricked ours, and they were well known for that kind of work. Well, he got somebody else, I don't know who done his, but it was just weavy. The lines wasn't none of it. The brick wasn't, one line would be go up and then it'd be down. That's all.
Done it in 3 weeks.
But he got it bricked.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. We got the
Keeping
first
up with
television in the valley. Now that I think you heard me tell about.
Yeah.
I got mad about that.
Tell us again about that. He's got to hear it. This is a good story right here.
Bill was working at Chevrolet place. He was service manager. Just when people come in, he wrote down what they needed done, and then tell them. Anyway, he's working at Chevrolet place. Well, every day at lunch, he went down to McPherson's television place, and he could see television. So he got really wanting him one. And he was telling me that, you can see people in New York walking around, you can hear them talk. I didn't believe a word of it. I said, no, you just telling that. Well, I think he got Tadley and his sister to bring us down there. He carried me down there and showed me there was a television. I didn't think about buying one because I thought it was, be way too expensive. Well, we was picking cotton. I was carrying Peggy and Tommy, and we was going to pick cotton for I can't think of their name now. Anyway, we'd pick cotton that day. I come home, and there was a television in town on top of that little huddle house that we was living in. Oh, that made me so mad I couldn't understand it. I'm ashamed of people to see us with a television living in a house like this that don't. We don't need a television. We got one anyway.
He got his way, huh?
He got it. Had it put in what I wasn't even. He didn't even ask me about it. 'Cause he knows what I'd say.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Well, he said, of course, I didn't like it to start with, but I got hooked on it like everybody else did. But,
Yeah.
But we lived in that little, just 4 rooms. We didn't have no bathroom, didn't have running water. And then the television. I was ashamed for people to know that we got a television when we ain't got nothing. Well, he didn't care. He wanted a television.
So he got one. What year was that? Do you remember about what time? If it was 50s or 60s?
Well, let's see. It was the late 60s.
Late 60s. I was wondering if y'all got to catch like the moon landing or whatnot. When Buzz Aldrin and all them went to the moon. If anybody was around the TV, happened to be by then. That was July 1969, I think, or somewhere around in there.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Everybody was outside,
we probably did,
gardening.
We probably did. But,
what about 9/11? Do you remember 9/11? Did you ever see it on TV?
No,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Was you watching? Was you watching the TV whenever the second plane hit?
Bill was sitting in here. I was having to carry him to the doctor. He's already got where he couldn't hardly walk. He couldn't drive. And I had got him ready and brought him in here and set him down. And I was getting ready. Was going to take him to the doctor that day. He said, "Come here, come here." He was telling me that plane had crashed. And I come in here and looked at it a minute, didn't pay much attention to it. And went on to the doctor, and Dr. Wilson was his doctor. And when we went in the room, he come in there, he said, "You folks need to be, I know you were probably praying people, and you need to be praying for our nation." He said, he started telling us about what happened. And Bill said, "I tried to tell her that." And I said, "Well, I didn't see it." He said, "Well, we're in really trouble. You need to really be praying." I said, "But we don't know what's going to happen." So I didn't see it, but Bill did. And he called me in here, and he there was something bad to happen.
Yeah.
He loved television.
Yeah.
Oh, he loved television. He got, like I say, we got that when we didn't have nothing else, but we had a television. But he would sit in that chair and watch television. I believe he could sit there all the time. He just loved television. It was just a miracle to him.
It's a miracle to have television.
Yeah, he loved
It's crazy
television.
how spoiled we've got now and everything. Everybody on these phones and stuff. Everybody's watching TV, watching a screen 16 hours a day.
He wouldn't have believed in cell phones. He would have had to been excited at it, but
You let's see, you have seen in your lifetime, this is crazy to me, but you have seen in your lifetime the first cars the generation of the first cars and whatnot, as far as like,
you'd say Great Depression era cars and stuff like that. Your Ford Model Ts,
yeah,
and
your
stuff
Ford
like
Model
that. Probably
Ts.
saw them still riding around.
Yeah, all the way until now we have electric vehicles.
Your electric Teslas and all these supercars going 250 plus miles an hour.
Do you ever sit back and do you ever just think about how many decades you've lived through and just?
I hadn't I guess the last few weeks I've thought about it since '94 was coming up, and I think that's a long time.
It's really impressive. I mean, it's really cool.
It is.
Like
And then I get to thinking about, still in good health.
Yes, yeah.
I don't have any major problems.
No.
I don't have any aches and pains. And there's not many people can say that at 94. Nothing good I've done, but just good Lord's blessings. But I have tried to take care of myself, and I've tried to eat right. I think that's one of the main things. People eat too much junk.
Yeah.
I've always liked my vegetables.
That's some advice for the public right there. You gotta stay away from fast food and eat your own veggies, more veggies, and grow your own veggies. And
can and freeze and eat them.
And can, freeze them, and eat them. And maybe one day you'll be lucky enough to be 94 as well.
Past the 94 line,
Well, it's just the good Lord's blessings, but I have tried to take care of myself. Well, I just naturally like vegetables because I was raised on them.
Right.
That's all. We wasn't raised on fast foods because it wasn't fast foods wasn't popular back when I was growing up, and besides, we couldn't have afforded them if we could.
Yeah.
They had to be, because we couldn't afford them. But we didn't have junk food.
Yeah.
We eat what was grown on the farm.
Right.
Had chickens.
Not processed or nothing. It's as pure as it can get. That that's the healthiest food you can have. And one day I hope I'll be blessed enough to have that same thing, and I'll have me a farm and some chickens and
Be able to live
cows
off your own
and
land.
just live off my own land and whatnot. And I'm not a doomsday planner or anything, but I just think it would be awesome to, if something ever did happen, you know, I know that I've got myself taken care of for, you know, months if not years to come, because I have the knowledge and I'll also have the material to do it.
I got 2 freezers full.
Mm-hmm.
Besides canned stuff, I didn't can anything. Peggy canned me some green beans this time.
Yeah.
But I didn't have no grapes. I didn't have no scupping irons. Make jelly. I always make a lot of jelly.
Mm-hmm.
And my grapevines was hanging full. And in the side about 3 weeks, they rotted.
And they was full and they just rotted like that.
They just rotted. I mean, they was just, all the grapes were gone off of them. And scupping irons. But I got jelly, you know, that I've made years past, pickles and everything. But it's kind of sad I didn't can this year. Like I did freeze corn. David had corn out there, and it come a bad wind and blew all of it over. And he had to gather it all at the same time. And I helped with it. I froze corn. But this is first year I've not made any jelly. Just didn't have nothing to make it out of.
Well, and you had some distractions too this year. You know, like I don't think you told us, but we didn't have the camera going, so everybody else don't know that about your accident you had. So she recently was in her garden and had fell and broken her leg, and all this year, and she has come back and had a full recovery all in 1 year, and at 93 years old. So, you know, she didn't have any excuses, I guess.
I guess this guy don't.
Yeah.
I don't have any excuses.
Talking to this guy right here.
Just with a broke foot, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I broke 5 of them down there, but yes, you can't. She was having to give me some pointers on the cane earlier. Y'all missed that.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to cover?
I think that's all I've got. I think we really covered a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything else you'd like to throw in there or talk about?
Well, I just say that let the good Lord be your guide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I've always went to church because we had to go when Daddy was home, and I always wanted to go to church.
Yeah.
And I still want to go. And they'll say, well, why don't you just stay here? It's too cold and all. But I go, like today I went. But I think you just count your blessings every day. Realize that you could be in a lot worse shape than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And when I fell and broke my leg, they loaded me up and carried me all the way to, what's the big hospital in Birmingham?
St. Vincent's, I think now.
UAB.
UAB.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there about a week. I got there on Saturday. They rolled me in there and they didn't do nothing to me. They couldn't do nothing to me that night, but the next day they set my leg. And then I went to the nursing home and stayed for a while. Come home December the 1st last year. And I was in a wheelchair for a while. But then I had home health nurses coming out here, and they got helping me walk. And I was determined to walk again if possible. I prayed, Lord, please let me walk again. I still use the cane, but I don't have to. I don't use it in the house. But if I go outside, I take it just afraid I might fall again. You know, but just trust the good Lord and stay with Him. He won't lead you long.
Yeah. You know, something else to throw in there. You know, I really don't. I mean, I guess I'm sure it's possible or whatnot, but I mean, you just don't really hear about a lot of people getting to that age that isn't close with God. You know, so that definitely has a lot to do with it. I would say, you know,
you experience that much life and stuff like that, and God has a way, I think, of putting you through things in life. I'm sure that, you know, just when you think you've got it figured out on your own, you realize you don't, and you've got to lean somewhere. And that's what I find amazing. You know, I guess that's what you're saying. Your number one advice to anybody listening would be
just
follow Jesus.
Follow the good Lord, and He won't lead you wrong. But don't think you can go on your own, because you can't.
I like it.
I'm thankful for all my blessings, and I don't deserve all that God has blessed me with, but I'm so thankful that I'm still able to live by myself, cook for myself, take care of myself. But I know I got 2 girls, and neither one of them would let me live with them. I don't want to. Me and the good Lord made it this far, and I hope I can stay here till I go. But I'm ready to go. Oh, and I appreciate you. You're a good boy.
Well, I haven't always been, but...
Well, I know you've done things wrong, and I have too. Everybody has.
Yeah. I've straightened up, though. And
That's it. When you come to realize this is not the right way, God's not pleased with this. Yeah. There's so much sin in the world now until it's bad.
I know it. It's easy to get caught up in it too. You know, you don't even realize it's wrong, and then till you're too late and too far gone into it.
Just like some of them young people is here last night. They've not had any raising. They've not been carried to church. They've not been taught what was right.
It shows.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what do you think?
I think
Cut it right there.
I guess we'll wrap it up. Well,
we'll wrap it right there.
Yep. This
has been an absolute epic
episode
of Cornbread Confessions.
Yeah, I believe we did a good thing.
In general, in general, this is something else. You can't get a better confession than that. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Well, like we was talking about, this is Imogene Skillman. She's 94 years old. We're blessed to have her on our podcast today, and I'm blessed to say that to be able to call her my great grandmother, and that she's still around with us. And Like she was talking about, y'all eat y'all's veggies and y'all be 94 just like her.
There you go.
Follow
You heard
the
it
good
here.
Lord. Heard it here. Well, just like always, I'm Owen, and
This is Logan.
this is Cornbread Confession. We appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it.